The National News Desk, locally covered, nationally connected.
You take a paycheck away, you take a home away. This is the knock-on effect of this is terrifying.
The battle rages on to control the catastrophic wildfires in Los Angeles. The reason for optimism, even as more fires break out. And the clock ticks down on TikTok as the Supreme Court weighs in on the fate for the social media app, where the court stands with just days to go before the deadline. And then it's quitting day for many, but there are ways to stay true to your New Year's resolutions. Coming up, expert advice to keep your word to yourself for the long haul. This is the National News Desk, America's News. Now, I'm Dee Dee Gatton. Thank you for joining us on your Friday. And breaking news tonight, a sixth wildfire has broken out in Los Angeles County as the death toll rises to at least 10 people. More than 10,000 structures have been destroyed. 153,000 residents are under mandatory evacuation orders, and an additional 166,000 have been issued evacuation warnings to be prepared to leave at a moment's notice if they haven't already. More than 36,000 acres, totaling more than 56 square miles of terrain, have been burned as 6 wildfires remain active. The two largest, the Palisades Fire and the Eden Fire, have grown to more than 20,000 acres and nearly 14,000 acres respectively. But there is good news to report tonight as firefighters have been able to begin containment in some areas. As you take a look at these numbers right here, after 2 days of zero containment, the Lydia Fire, that is now 75% contained. The Hearst Fire, that's 37%. The Kenneth Fire, 35%. And two big ones, Eden Fire up to 3% and the Palisades 8%. The latest fire, the Archer Fire, is 0% contained.
We're headed in the right direction. And again, we see the winds calmer today. They're still here, but these are the winds we're used to battling and dealing with during these fires. Nothing like we saw the first 2 days.
The extreme winds that fanned the flames Tuesday and Wednesday and kept firefighters from being able to battle the fire from the air, they have died down. Most areas are below 20 miles an hour, with some in single digits. Forecasters say they should remain weaker tomorrow before picking back up on Sunday, giving these firefighters a little bit of time to continue to get the upper hand. Investigators are looking into where and how these fires started. Officials have already ruled out lightning strikes, the most common fire starter for the Palisades Fire that has claimed thousands of homes, including many belonging to celebrities. At this time, investigators have not seen supporting evidence of arson or utility fires for the Palisades Fire, but have not ruled either one out.
If it is determined that there is a man-made and intentional setting of any of the fires involved in this situation, the people who committed this arson will be arrested, they will be prosecuted, and they will be punished to the full extent of the law.
And in relation to the Eden Fire, insurance companies are asking Southern California Edison, one of the biggest utility companies in the state, to preserve evidence. No one's suggesting it's to blame, but the Eden Fire sparked in the utility's jurisdiction. We will continue to stay on top of all of the developments of these catastrophic fires. Stay up to date with us both on air and online at thenationalnewsdesk.com. Right now, over 85 million Americans are under winter weather alerts. Meantime, as two storms move east across the country, a storm that's already brought heavy snow and ice to much of the south has mixed with a storm from Canada. Some areas in the south have gotten over a foot of snow, and several more inches are expected in parts of the mid-Atlantic, Northeast, and Ohio Valley by tomorrow. Nearly all flights in and out of Atlanta have been delayed or canceled today. Charlotte is seeing similar problems. Road closures and crashes have been reported in multiple states. Officials are warning people to avoid travel if possible.
A tenth of an inch of ice, that's really not going to cause problems. But you get up to a quarter of an inch of ice, that's when limbs start coming down onto lines. half of an inch of ice, that's when lines themselves start sagging from the weight of the ice.
And more than 200 passengers had to be evacuated from an aborted takeoff for a Delta flight out of Atlanta airport this morning. At least 4 injuries were reported, one of whom was taken to the hospital for precautionary treatment. Officials have not said what went wrong, but some passengers told CNN that an engine caught on fire. According to flight tracking data, the plane hit 100 miles per hour before skidding to a stop. And new body cam video from the deadly New Orleans attack on New Year's Day shows the shootout that killed the attacker. We do want to warn you, this video may be disturbing to some viewers. You can see officers are confronting Shamsuddin Jabbar, first at full speed and then in slow motion. They return fire and fall while trying to take cover. Police say Jabbar purposefully drove a pickup truck into the crowd, killing 14 people. New developments. President-elect Donald Trump sentenced today will enter the White House 10 days from now as a felon. Judge Juan Merchan, as expected, granted Trump an unconditional discharge for its 34 felonies related to a plot to buy adult film actor Stormy Daniels' silence during the 2016 presidential campaign with no penalties. Trump still maintains no wrongdoing and calls his conviction a very terrible experience. The president-elect appeared virtually for the sentencing and then lambasted the decision online, writing in part, "The radical Democrats have lost another pathetic, un-American witch hunt," going on to say there was no case, there was never a case, and this whole scam fully deserves to be dismissed. Trump says the real jury, the American people, have spoken by re-electing me. He vows to appeal. The Supreme Court will soon decide whether TikTok will be allowed to operate in the U.S. past January 19th. TikTok says a national security law requiring it to be sold from its Chinese parent company violates the First Amendment, but justices sounded skeptical. The National News Desk, Atra El-Nashar, has a closer look at what unfolded inside the courtroom.
TikTok fighting for its future in a novel case before the Supreme Court.
I'm not aware of any time in American history where the Congress has tried to shut down a major speech platform.
The video sharing platform has essentially been backed into a corner. Lower courts have dealt them blow after blow, upholding a federal law requiring TikTok to be divested from its Chinese parent company ByteDance by January 19th, or
we go dark. Essentially, the platform shuts down.
The law passed last spring with broad bipartisan support aiming to protect national security from the Chinese Communist Party.
No one disputes that the PRC seeks to undermine U.S. interests by amassing vast quantities of sensitive data about Americans and by engaging in covert influence operations. The Chinese government could weaponize TikTok at any time to harm the United States.
Justice Elena Kagan questioned this claim.
Does covert just mean it's hard to figure out how the algorithm works? Because we could say that about every algorithm.
But the majority of scrutiny was placed on TikTok's claim to free speech overriding the national security law.
So are we supposed to ignore the fact that the ultimate parent is in fact subject to doing intelligence work for the Chinese government?
The justices will decide whether the law is constitutional or not. They'll also have to decide whether the January 19th deadline will stay in place or be put on pause while they deliberate. TikTok certainly wants that to happen, and so does President-elect Trump, who believes he could save the app once he's in office.
But back in August 2020, Trump signed an executive order imposing sanctions on TikTok that, at the time, was thought to be a step to effectively ban the app. He said the United States must take aggressive action against the owners of TikTok to protect our national security. President Biden later revoked the order, replacing it with a more thorough national security review. Years later, Trump changed his mind.
For all of those that want to save TikTok in America, vote for Trump.
For now, of course, that's not up to him. As for when we'll learn how the justices rule, we could find out as soon as tonight what they decide about the deadline, and anytime after that, a ruling on the law itself.
Atra, in anticipation, though, of potentially losing access to TikTok, some users are turning to its sister app called Lemonade. What should we know about this?
Yeah, of course, another app pops up in an app's place if one goes away. And if you're on TikTok, you've probably gotten requests to join Lemon8. It's a similar photo video sharing platform that some are flocking to as they anticipate a potential ban, a backup of TikTok, if you will. I tried it out in case folks at home are curious, and TikTok makes it really easy for users to transition. You just have to click one button and you can follow all the same people, transfer your username, your profile picture, etc. But here's the thing, Dee Dee, Lemon 8 is also owned by China-based ByteDance. So if TikTok is forced to divest or be banned, there's really no reason to believe Lemon 8 wouldn't face the same fate.
Yeah, that makes sense. Live from Washington, D.C., Atra El-Nashar, thank you. Trials against two men accused of killing a pregnant woman found in a Rhode Island pond in 2022. They are underway. The case is unusual because it has two juries, one for each suspect. 36-year-old Gary Grumkowitz, 46-year-old Michael Lambert. They are accused of murdering 34-year-old Layla Duarte de Luz. The jurors are hearing testimony together, but closing arguments and deliberations, they will be separate. Several hotels in California's Central Valley are facing sex trafficking lawsuits, according to a law firm citing court documents. A woman claimed she was trafficked at hotels in Fresno managed by Wyndham Hotels and Resorts, Red Roof Inns, and other companies from 2010 to 2016. She accuses hotel staff of ignoring obvious red flags. The case was filed in federal court. More than 800,000 migrants have been extended temporary protected status by the Department of Homeland Security to stay in the U.S. for another 18 months. This covers roughly 600,000 Venezuelans and 200,000 Salvadorans, and it comes a week before Donald Trump returns to the White House. In his first term, he tried to reduce the use of temporary protected status, and he has also promised to enact the largest deportation program the U.S. has ever seen. Congress is already moving on tougher immigration bills ahead of Trump's presidential inauguration. As national correspondent Matt Gelka tells us, there's a lot more to come and less Democratic resistance to stand in the way.
On this vote, the yeas are 84 and the nays are 9.
The Senate advanced the Lake and Riley Act this week, a bill named for a Georgia nursing student killed by an undocumented immigrant. A huge chunk of Democrats joined Republicans to advance the bill, with only 9 opposing.
This is an important issue. We should have a debate and amendments.
The bill allows for the detainment and potential deportation of undocumented immigrants charged with theft and empowers states to sue the federal government over perceived lack of enforcement over immigration laws. It's the first crackdown up for a vote on Capitol Hill, but presidential action is likely on the way.
Number one, we're closing the border. It's going to be closed very strongly. It's going to be closed, and we're going to have to take people out that are criminals. We have people from jails from all over the world and from mental institutions, and as you know, they're going to have to be removed.
Trump met with Senate Republicans this week at the Capitol. Axios reports as many as 100 Day 1 executive orders were discussed, including reinstating Title 42, a COVID-era health policy that allowed migrants to be expelled for public health reasons without getting a chance for asylum claims. There are also planned executive actions that would allow local law enforcement to work closer with ICE agents, a plan to build more border wall, and to implement more migrant holding facilities. Republicans also plan to try again for the SAVE Act, a bill that requires proof of citizenship to vote. Utah Senator and bill sponsor Mike Lee wrote on X, only American citizens should be able to register and vote in American elections. Republicans are adamant the desire for an immigration crackdown fueled 2024 election results.
The number one issue I heard about while I was out on the campaign trail was the border.
Pennsylvania Democratic Senator John Fetterman became the first Democrat in that chamber to co-sponsor the Lake and Riley Act, and now he'll be the first Democrat to go visit Trump at Mar-a-Lago. That meeting's said to be planned for this weekend, with Fetterman encouraging his colleagues to be more open to discussions. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka for the National News Desk, America's News Now.
Coming up, the latest on the American jobs market and what the newest numbers mean for borrowing costs. Then it's Quitter's Day for New Year's resolutions, what you can do to stay on track with your health goals. Then, what hackers stole in a data breach in one state that's affecting thousands of students and teachers going back 20 years. We'll be right back. As we come back on the air, victims and first responders in Southern California need our help. Our parent company, Sinclair Incorporated, partnering with the Salvation Army for Sinclair Cares California Wildfires Relief to provide critical assistance. Crews are delivering essential meals, fresh water, and relief supplies to the hardest hit areas. Your donation can make a significant impact. To get started, scan that QR code right there on your screen or go to sinclaircares.com. Thank you so much. 2024, it finished on a positive economic note as the final jobs report for last year shows a strong December. The Labor Department today says employers added about 256,000 jobs, and that's despite high labor costs and uncertainty about Trump's economic policies. Economists expect some of his agenda to increase inflation. The numbers, which beat expectations, also show the unemployment rate falling to 4.1%. Now the ball is in the Federal Reserve's court. Fed policymakers are keeping interest rates where they are for now, and the positive job numbers could give them reason to stay put. The Fed, remember, is independent from the White House, but its decision could determine what the incoming administration can and can't do with policies. Trump is not happy about the rates.
We are inheriting a difficult situation from the outgoing administration, and they're trying everything they can to make it more difficult. Inflation is continuing to rage, and interest rates are far too high.
And the U.S. has imposed some of the strictest sanctions yet on Russia's energy sector. A last-minute move by President Biden to help Ukraine before he leaves office. Two of Russia's biggest oil companies are targeted, along with individuals and oil-carrying vessels. President-elect Trump said he's preparing to meet with President Putin in an effort to end the war. Americans think less highly of Biden than they did of Presidents Trump and Obama as they left office, according to a new AP NORC poll. It found around 25% of American adults think Biden was a good or great president. Less than 10% think he was great. Around 33% thought Trump was good or great, and around 50% thought that of Obama. National security officials are warning that Beijing or its proxies could be attempting to spy on U.S. military bases. This comes as we are learning that Chinese hackers have breached the U.S. government office that reviews foreign investments for national security risks. The hackers gained access to an unclassified system last month run by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S. In December, the committee gained increased authority to review real estate sales near these military bases. And the plea agreement for 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and two accomplices remains on hold for now. A federal court is holding a hearing to determine if Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin had the authority to throw out a guilty plea agreement with KSM and military prosecutors agreed to last August. Recently, a military appeals court ruled against Austin, reinstating the plea, but the DOJ appealed that decision, saying the American people deserve a public trial and the possibility of capital punishment for the crimes of September 11th. Those New Year's fitness goals are likely to start feeling pretty challenging right now. Medical reporter Liz Bonas shares what one woman says has kept her from giving up on them.
Hey there, everybody. We're at Quitter's Day in the new year. A couple weeks in, and most of us have given up on our fitness goals. But trainers say a few tweaks can keep you motivated to stick with it.
So just one foot up there, yep, the other foot down.
Helen Roberts-Sorg says a few of those tweaks have helped her keep going for about
at least 6 months, I would say.
She has stuck it out. Twice a week, she schedules a personal training session with Madison Holshoe.
And like I tell her, I walk out feeling so much better than when I walked in.
Madison is the group fitness coordinator here at Ohio's Tri-Health Fitness and Health Pavilion. She says part of what's kept Helen going is that they feel like friends.
Having that social aspect is huge with her and I, so it's just a great time.
When something is social, it's easier to motivate yourself to show up. And so is feeling better as you stick with the workouts.
Oh, I definitely feel stronger as well. You know, the energy and feeling stronger, sleeping better. I feel like I'm more inclined to eat better. Just, you know, I think there's a kind of a ripple effect.
The ripple effect is the third secret to success, Madison says. Good health habits are contagious.
Eating a clean, whole food diet is key. It's not going to only help you feel better, but it's also going to help you reach those goals faster.
And finally, Helen says, never underestimate.
Having someone waiting for you when you get there. And someone's expecting you, and you have your 11 o'clock appointment, and I think was really important for me. The consistency, accountability.
Accountability, there is no substitute. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonus reporting.
Yeah, count me in on that. I need that. Sony is pushing the boundaries of new gaming technology. The tech company unveiled its immersive entertainment concept that could allow PlayStation players to smell their way through a video game. A trailer for the concept shows participants stepping into the world of the game, The Last of Us. The experience is enhanced by audio, smell-o-vision, and touch. Sony has not said how it plans to use the tech. Coming up, why egg prices are soaring and what you can expect to pay going forward. We'll be right back. We have reporters all across the country in your neighborhoods covering issues that matter to you. We're taking the pulse of America, and we start in North Carolina, where Hurricane Helene victims could be without housing as a winter storm approaches.
The Transitional Sheltering Assistance Program, known as TSA, is a program where FEMA directly pays hotels and motels to cover the cost of a room for households who are eligible. They provided thousands of Helene survivors with hotel rooms, but on January 3rd, FEMA began to notify those staying in hotels who were no longer eligible for the program, giving them 7 days to check out. And here in Buncombe, that means 800 families could be without a place to stay as the snow comes down on Friday.
Yarmouth schools learned on Tuesday that an unauthorized user with a foreign IP address gained access to their servers through the PowerSchool breach. School Technology Director Mike Arsenault says hackers had access to the data of 6,100 students and 1,400 staff members dating back more than 20 years.
With PowerSchool, every staff member and student never gets deleted.
They had access to everything. Our student information, names, addresses, phone numbers, and so forth, were part of the breach, as well as some of our staff information.
A PowerSchool spokesperson says the company has taken steps to prevent the data involved from further unauthorized access or misuse. The incident is contained, and we did not anticipate the data being shared or made public.
Little Flower Baked Goods in Fort Mitchell is known for its unique sweet creations. Owner Elizabeth Hughes says eggs go into just about every recipe.
Prices have almost doubled since we've opened.
A quick look at some local prices shows a dozen grade A large eggs around the $4 mark. NKU economist Janet Harris says she expects egg prices to continue to rise in the coming months. Meanwhile, Ben Brennan with the UC Economics Center says it's not just bird flu causing these higher egg prices.
The recent inflation has led to increases in fuel prices, labor prices, and feed prices for the producers of eggs.
Coming up, the team's playing in what's about to be a big football weekend that kicks off tonight. Kicking off in about an hour, seeded Texas Longhorns take on number 8 Ohio State Buckeyes in the Cotton Bowl at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. The winner of this game moves on to play Notre Dame in the NCAA's College Football Playoff Final on January 20th. The Fighting Irish beat the Penn State Nittany Lions last night, 27-24, and the closest game so far in the first expanded college football playoff. The NFL playoffs, so those also kick off this weekend, so a lot going on. Tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern Time, the Los Angeles Chargers head to Houston to play the AFC South, winning Houston, Texas, and then tomorrow night, the Baltimore Ravens host division rivals Pittsburgh Steelers. Sunday, we get a triple header of football beginning with the Denver Broncos and the Bills at 4:30 in Philadelphia. The Eagles host the Green Bay Packers in a rematch of Week 1's game in Brazil. Philadelphia won that one. And at 8 p.m. in Tampa, another Week 1 rematch. The Washington Commanders look to take revenge against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So your weekend schedule right there. Enjoy the football. That's going to do it for us for this edition of the National News Desk. We invite you to join us again this evening for more coverage on the latest on the fires in Los Angeles County. I'm Dee Dee Gatton. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tonight.